What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. The Jesus complex. Um, Follow me what I'm trying to do right now. The psychology of having too much religion and how sometimes it spills into our personal interactions with people. Jesus was, let's just say, a man who did a lot of good things for a period of time. For close to 2 decades. Let's just say that. But in some ways had to constantly prove that he was who he said he was. In this proving, he was left alone for the most part. Few people came to his aid or rescue or just comfort. You can use the same thing with Moses in a sense, Samson, but I'm just using Jesus. Jesus is the biggest name in the Bible besides God. Can't use it with God because God, they didn't have like God, quote unquote, walking the earth. Okay, so, but with all that being said, Jesus had to die and come back from the dead for people to say, "Oh, you really that dude?" Thus, now, thousands of years later, people are worshiping the name of Jesus, which in a roundabout way is what people complain about. Because people meet good people all the time who they have to constantly prove to themselves, are you really that good of a person? Are you really that good? I know what you did. I know what you have done. I know what you continue to do, but really? You're that good? And when that person finds themselves dead in their lives, gone, moved on, then you find them worshiping that person like, that person was so good to me. That person was so stupendous. But just like Jesus, you didn't respect it. You turned on it. You denied it. You snitched and sold it out. You were an unbeliever, even when it was proven right in front of your mere eyes. That didn't matter. It was always subject for dissection. So now that person's gone, and you worship them. And then another way, you have the leader complex, because Jesus was a leader, right? Like Moses was a leader, Samson and all that, the apostles, the disciples who had to watch him get turned on, played, disowned, tortured, murdered, and resurrected from the dead to say, oh, shit. Who knew? Forget, turning the water into wine, walking on, raising the dead, walking on water, exorcisms, feeding multitudes of people, teaching day-to-day lessons. That wasn't good enough, even for the people that were sitting right there courtside, riding with him on the team, had the jerseys and everything. That wasn't good enough. But this death, came back from the dead on me, and you here. So all the other shit you did, which to a degree, I will say, makes some people question, damn, if he did all of that and y'all still didn't believe in him, did he really do all that shit? You see what I'm saying? Now, but the fact that when it comes to leaders, we feel as though a leader's on their own. See, and that's the religious part of the Jesus complex. That's why you can kill somebody like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. I'm using them because they were basically reverends, prophets, and people will say, we miss you. Now, even though they distort who they were then, from then to now, even the people that was riding with them then, all of them didn't, finish the mission. Some people just went here, went there. The unity completely dissipated in some aspects because they're not coming back from the dead. But the fact that they're not coming back from the dead also says to the degree that's what we want. It ain't real to us until somebody resurrects. On another level, if you imagery and storytelling and propaganda is powerful in making people subservient. You see, if you watch a movie and somebody kills the king, the whole kingdom going to war. If you're in a war, if somebody offs 9/11, Pearl Harbor, these were attacks. There was no forgiveness. It's like, can't take that shit. When you watch these movies about, say, a family, somebody in the family gets killed or attacked or set up, that family, one of these family members it sets them afire and they go off and we need to retaliate. The mafia movies that they always have, all these gangster movies or action movies, they all follow the same protocol. You take one of mine, I'm taking two of yours, But when it comes to religion, with the Jesus complex, the person that did all these good things for you and showed you all of these great miracles, when somebody takes them, we should not fight. We should not do anything. They will not want us to ever lay a finger on anybody who would murder them unjustly. No, 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 no. Well, how come everybody else is not taught that? See, part of, quote unquote, part of Black Lives Matter is don't shoot hands up. Most other races probably wouldn't do that because they don't believe that just saying, hey, don't shoot me no more, is going to stop people from not doing that, shooting them no more. They're less idealistic and more practical. You have to give somebody something to, you violate, I demonstrate. So, in ways, I'm saying, when people are in day-to-day relationships, they have the Jesus complex because the people that are the best to them, they leave hanging the most, but they have this majestic memory of them. Oh, they were so great. The same thing with a funeral. People will sit there and cry, like, oh, I can't believe it. Oh, I know. Why take such a good person? You didn't care about that person when they were living, though. You care about that person in death because you were trained to through Jesus. When we talk about the leadership part, When will there be another Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X? Elijah Muhammad said, after me there will be no more. Or Farrakhan, after Farrakhan there will be no more. When will there be another prophet? Maybe, just maybe, you was taught that some magical person will come here, one man, and just save everything. Against the backdrop of people who don't want to be saved and who will undermine that person and who will kill that person. Even if what that person is trying to do frees them, because some people don't want to necessarily be free. Also in the aspect of, how can I put this? Parenthood. You find yourself, people who are parents who constantly doing stuff. Oh, they ain't nobody. They just did this. They just did that. They just do this. They just did that. They don't mean nothing. And then something happens and they be like, you know what? They did everything for me. I miss them so. They cared so much. You didn't have that kind of sentiment when they were alive. And the Jesus complex is my way of saying people have been trained through religion to disrespect the very person or type of person, the altruistic person. That's what I would say. Religion has taught you to disrespect the altruistic human being. Because nobody appreciated Jesus when Jesus was in that book alive. I will not say nobody. What I will say is this. The masses did not appreciate Jesus because the inner circle of Jesus didn't really stand on what he was doing. So, when they went out to people, you get the person here, you save my daughter. You get the person here, touch me and heal me. Get the person here, do this, do that. So, thus adding another layer to this, you have people who look at this Jesus complex as a Messiah. That when you find that person that is the one that is a miracle worker around you. I'm just using miracle worker, but everybody needs to latch on and catch on. Do me one, do me one, do me one, do one for me, do one for me, do one for me, but they don't do anything for anyone else. So you find yourself surrounded by a sea of unbelieving leeches. And anybody who's dealt with leeches know that after they get what they want and they get full on it, they just fall off to the wayside. It's not like they're gonna. Word of mouth doesn't spread well through leeches. I will say that. And you have that dynamic happen also with people, But leeches show up after death too. Which brings me to another little thing about this is why people have a hard time recognizing real. People have a hard time dealing with real. People have a hard time with holding up their end of the bargain with real. Because at the end of the day, they never intended to be real. What would Jesus do? No, what would you do? See, you wouldn't do what Jesus would do, but you would wait on Jesus to do something for you. We're trained that even in the way people pray. Pray to Jesus so Jesus could talk to God for you. So you mean to tell me in your submission to God, God can't hear you. The God that you worship that is omnipotent can't hear you unless you call the name of a person whose name didn't necessarily exist, because we're in America, and Jesus is just the name we gave Jesus. So who's hearing you? Just in a roundabout way. So in a sense, it's trained you to be powerless. You see, you can't be bold and on your knees begging at the same time. And hoping that one person could come along and change everything for everybody. Who ultimately, all of these people, the masses that I'm talking about, it will be much easier to stand up for yourself, stand up as a group, stand up and defend what's right as a unit. But most people have the Jesus complex. Don't want to do that. That sounds hard. That may take work. So I want somebody to be born on this earth and do it all for me while I'm living at the same time that they are. And if they get it done, we did it, Lord. No, you didn't do shit. And if they fail, you wasn't a real Jesus. You ain't the Son of Man. You're not the one. And if they have to die, I can't believe all of that work they put in that was so positive. They were really who they said they were. And your action shows you are really who you are too. So all I'm saying at the end of the day is, sometimes when you go to church, have you ever thought that Jesus taught you to be full of shit? Because you're not. Once again, faith without works is dead. Your faith is in Jesus to do it for you. Your faith is that Jesus will handle the shit that you're here to do. Your faith is that Jesus will send another magical person to come to this earth and save you from shit that you could save yourself from, but you are too lazy to do it. So ultimately, you don't work. So ultimately, all your faith is dead. And ultimately, that's why, and you don't appreciate the person who's actually putting in the work, because ultimately you resent them, as though the people who turned on Jesus and had him crucified did. See, the few may have loved him for real. The masses who said, kill that motherfucker, resented him. He doing stuff on this earth that I can't do and I wouldn't do, and he ain't nobody. Whatever. Being good to people. But those same people have descendants thousands of years later who love you, Lord, love you, Lord. Nobody, you know what? I'm going to stop there. Just tell me what you think.